So my name is Brandon Phillips, and I'm a solutions architect here at AWS. I work with not-for-profit organizations specifically, and what I'm going to be talking about are the reInvent generative AI updates. And so with this particular presentation, when you, at the conclusion of this particular um, webinar, this will be available to you. There's a lot of QR codes where you can go ahead and scan them and get more practical implementation details, or just get linked to the actual page that Amazon is or AWS is presenting. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So here at AWS, we think of our AI and ML offerings as a three-layer stack. At the lowest layer of that particular stack, you'll see the different infrastructure. And one of the services that you'll see here most commonly used is Amazon SageMaker. And this enables ML practitioners to train and deploy LLMs and foundational models. At the middle layer, we have Amazon Bedrock. And as you've heard previously, this gives you access to all the different LLMs and foundation models that you may need through an API to go ahead and build and scale your AI applications. And then at the top layer are really the generative AI services that allow you to get quickly started. This includes services such as Amazon Q, which is our new generative AI powered assistant for your business. So throughout your AI journey, you may use some services across these different layers. What I want to go ahead and jump into and take a closer look at first is Amazon Q. And so at reInvent, we went ahead and announced Amazon Q. And what Q does is help you get accurate answers, solve problems, generate new content using the data and expertise found in your company's information repositories, including various data store, code repositories, and enterprise systems. You can streamline tasks, speed up decision making, and help spark creativity and innovation utilizing Amazon Q. Now, of course, security and privacy is a huge concern, and rightly so. So with Amazon Q, it understands and respects your existing identities, roles, and permissions, and uses this information to personalize interactions. So in other words, if the user doesn't have permissions to access a particular set of data without Q, they won't have that particular access with Q either. And of course, the Q is built with privacy in mind as well to help meet your most stringent enterprise needs. This is a preview service, and of course, you can check it out today on the console. The announcement, one of the larger announcements, was Bedrock this year. And Bedrock is the easiest way to build and scale your generative AI applications with foundation models. And it's a fully managed service. And so you can go into the console today. As you saw in the preview previously, you can go in the console and get started. We announced 4 additional features at reInvent. The first was the knowledge bases for Bedrock. As you saw in a previous demo, this allows you to easily build and manage your retrieval augmented generation vector store-based applications. And it gives you that automated document ingestion, embedding, and vector retrieval service out of the box to integrate directly with your application through a single API. And I think that's important because that makes it easier for you to get up and going relatively quickly. Next, we announced agents for Bedrock. This allows you to create complex logical flows in your application, empowering the LLM itself to have self-directed tool use, while still allowing you to retain that full control of your application security. You saw one use case as a chatbot, but these agents can actually utilize Lambda functions or reach out to other APIs to execute particular workflows in a step-by-step fashion. Now, of course, you don't want these bots just running around doing what they will. And so in preview, we have guardrails for Bedrock, which allows you to set clearly defined guardrails for your Bedrock agents to stay within a defined topic boundary. And of course, you want to know if the actual service is improving or degrading, in which we introduce model evaluation for Bedrock. And this allows you to automate the model evaluation with a set of predefined model benchmarks or customize your own validation data straight from S3. And as I mentioned previously, you'll see these QR codes. You can scan those and go to the landing pages or particular blogs to get more information. Now, with Bedrock, we have 6 different providers. and 20 plus models. As Ron had mentioned, we have support for the new Claude D version 2.1, which has an increased context length up to 200,000 and reduced hallucination, which makes it more accurate when working with particular queries. We also introduce access to the Llama 13B models for lower latency and lower costs for your particular use cases. And of course, we have the other providers, notable mention Amazon Titan, and of course, AI21 Labs, Cohere, and Stability AI models. Next at reInvent, we announced HealthScribe, which is a HIPAA-eligible service empowering healthcare software vendors to automatically generate transcripts, summarize notes, and clinical insight by analyzing patient clinical conversations in their clinical applications. So, as you heard, while traditional LLMs are not ideally suited for clinical note summarization due to several limitations, such as hallucination, HealthScribe addresses this through a technique we call grounding, which links each of these AI-generated parts back to the clinical notes and the supporting evidence in the source conversation transcript. So this will give you much higher accuracy and easier validations of clinical documentation. And this really allows you to take a step back from doing the transcription and going through the notes, and has this particular service do it for you, and you can just review what you've been taking notes on or the different audio you've recorded over the past times. And additionally, it's a production-ready service that you can use to process large volumes of your clinical data while maintaining that patient privacy and healthcare compliance. Next, we announced just a few quality of life changes and direct new features. So Code Whisper, if you haven't heard, is your coding assistant. And we announced the feature to have code suggestions to help remediate identified security and code quality issues. We've also introduced suggestions and completion for CloudFormation, Cloud Development Kit, and the HashiCorp Terraform language. So it'll enable your developers to author your infrastructure as code automation faster and more accurately. We also now support code suggestions for C#, and in preview, we now have Code Whisper available in Visual Studio 2022. And of course, you have command CLI access to some of your favorite tools such as Git, NPM, and the AWS CLI. Now going down to that bottom layer, we announced the general availability of Amazon SageMaker HyperPod, which reduces the time to train foundation models and fine-tune any of these open source models that you may have specific task or use case you want to train them to be able to work with by up to 40% by providing purpose-built infrastructure for distributed training at scale. One other notable mention here, you can scan the QR code for more, but Amazon SageMaker Clarify is a new capability that was announced to support foundation model evaluations. And this allows you to compare and select the foundation model based on metrics such as accuracy, robustness, bias, and toxicity in minutes. And this allows you to really get a better idea of the foundation model that will work for your use case most effectively. Next, we announced a revamped onboarding and administration experience for SageMaker domains. So the setup and onboarding flow on the console has been redesigned to be friendlier, one-click experience for individual users, and for you enterprise ML administrators out there, we now have a step-by-step guide that walks you through the process. And another notable mention is we also announced a new capability that allows you to bring your own EFS volume to access your large ML datasets or shared code from IDEs such as the Jupyter Lab available in SageMaker Studio and Code Editor in SageMaker Studio as well. And of course, this has a direct integration with IAM Identity Center. So if you're currently using that today, you can go ahead and assign the Studio apps to different users and groups across your organization. Next, we have feature updates for SageMaker Canvas, which, if you're not aware, SageMaker Canvas makes it easy for business analysts and domain experts to generate highly accurate ML predictions on their own without any ML experience. And so in Canvas, you now have access to all of the foundation models that are available to you via Bedrock and publicly available foundation models that are available to you via SageMaker Jumpstart, which is AWS's model hub. And Canvas has native integrations for over 50 data sources, including all the AWS databases, Salesforce Data Cloud, Snowflake, Databricks, and more. And lastly, Canvas now supports natural language instructions for data exploration, visualization, and preparation to build those machine learning models for your specific use. Next, we add feature updates for Amazon Transcribe, which is our fully managed automatic speech recognition service that makes it straightforward for you to add speech to text capabilities to your application. We now have support for over 100 languages through a new system that we've been developing internally. We also announced automatic language identification support for multilingual streams. So in a particular stream, if someone is speaking multiple languages, that'll be reflected in the transcript per the different participants speaking those different languages. And we also have preview for our generative AI powered call summarization in Amazon Transcribe Call Analytics. And this is just a key component maybe for your contact center where you may have a need to know why the customer called, how the issue was resolved, and what follow actions were identified from a particular transcript. Next, we have feature updates from Amazon Lex. And Amazon Lex is a service for building conversational interfaces into any application using voice and text. And so now you can utilize prompts and generative AI to be descriptive about bot building. It'll take that prompt and build a bot based on it, as well as you can use prompts to generate ideas for the intent that your users will have when they're interacting with this bot. So if they're calling in and they need to access particular information on the back end from a particular account, you can go ahead and describe that when you're building the bot, and it'll generate a different list of different ways that that user can interact with the particular bot. And of course, Lex now has a RAG integration, so you can integrate it to your backend data stores via retrieval augmented generation. Next, we had updates with Personalize, and Personalize is a fully managed service that makes it effortless for developers to develop highly personalized user experiences in real time. We announced the content generator to make recommendations more compelling, and we also announced an integration with LangChain. So you can use this one tooling to be able to integrate with all the different generative AI applications that you're currently utilizing inside of your organization. And last but certainly not least, prior to reInvent, we announced Party Rock, which is an Amazon Bedrock playground. Without an AWS account or credit card, you can go ahead and get started today building some of these generative AI applications in a playground so you can really get the intuition for what they're good at and what they're not. And so if you scan the QR code, you can be redirected and get started with that today. So thank you all. My name is Brandon Phillips. You can see my email there. And feel free to reach out. If you have any generative AI use cases, myself or my team can work with you to go ahead and get that implemented. And if you scan the QR code here, it'll direct you to the website for the featured announcements from reInvent. Thank you.